Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Jeremy Scott Fitness Podcast Radio Show, coming to you on this Sunday, February the 1st, 2026. Hopefully it finds you staying safe and staying sweaty all at the same time. On today's episode, we are talking with my man, Dr. John Robinson, today on all things sexual wellness, sexual health, hormones, and all the awesome stuff in between. Quick housekeeping things. One, Jeremy Scott Fitness app, you guys know, is live and rocking. You guys get a week for free on me. JeremyScottFitness.app. Link is in the show notes. We are 5 weeks into the Old Man Shredded program. You guys can hop in anytime. It's up in there. Our first round of folks are just getting it to the halfway point, but you guys can jump in anytime. The link is in the notes below. I think we still have the discount code in there live if you guys want to pop in. We got about 300 dudes in there and a couple of females too, crushing it at this point. So Jeremy Scott Fitness app, it is live today. And then obviously quick shout out to our homies at AG1. You guys know the one thing I take every single day and I never miss. You still have to eat real food. It's not going to fix that if you eat like a 7-year-old, but if you eat great and you want to cover some of the gaps in your nutrition in terms of micronutrients, this would be the one thing I could throw in. If you guys want a free sample pack, we have a ton of them here in-house. Monica can send them to you whatever state or country you live in. It doesn't matter. We can get them to you 100% for free. And if you want to pick some up today, we'll give you guys a year supply of free vitamin D3 and K2 and a bunch of the sample packs, all the flavors. What is it? Citrus, tropical, berry, and I think even the original we have in-house here. You can pick that up in the notes here, drinkag1.com/Jeremy Scott. Otherwise, just ask for the free samples and we are good to go. Whew, that's it for today. We're golden. Awesome. Dr. Robinson, welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
You've been here before. If you want I'm sure you have like a quick Cliff Note spiel, your quick little background intro just for anybody who's never heard you before or doesn't know kind of what you do.
Dr. John Robinson. I've been doing longevity medicine, hormone replacement therapy for 19 years. I practice in Scottsdale. I have some locations in California, Oklahoma, and I practice with my wife. You can follow us on Instagram at the Sex Docs, which is kind of a little bit of what we're wanting to talk about today. So sexual wellness is really a big part of what it is that I do. And we talked about it a little bit last time. And we had, my wife on last time with us. And I think now we just wanted to kind of zone in a little bit more on that. And the reason we kind of came up with that name, the Sex Docs, I mean, it wasn't even us. I think it was some marketing people that kind of came and said, let's call you the Sex Docs.
It's smart.
It makes sense. And they asked us, what do you do or what's important to your patients? And I always say there's two key things. People want more energy. They want more sex. That's generally why they come to see us. So, we've really gone out of our way to figure out how to help and serve patients for their sexual wellness and how to improve their relationships and just their overall sense of well-being.
So I guess like the thing I'd ask, like why is it something that like men and women don't talk about a ton is like the sexual health piece? Like what is it like I don't feel like maybe people do now, but I feel like I've never heard dudes talk about it to other dudes. Like no dude comes in here and is like, hey man. And I don't, maybe females talk about themselves or do people do that? Like I've never went to a buddy of mine and I'm like, hey man, I'm having this much sex or he's not that. Like that's just not it's not a thing.
Mm-hmm. I think it's changed over the years. After 19 years of doing this, I think men are talking about it more. I think.
Than like my grandpa or dad. Well, for sure.
Well, yeah,
for sure.
Way more than that. But still, you're right. It's just not as much. And same thing with women. People just they get a little hung up, and I think then a lot of it is because doctors are not really poised to be in that position to allow them to talk about it. One of the key things that I offer is time. A lot of the reasons why I figure things out with my patients because I actually just sit there and ask questions. I actually will ask them the strange question of, what do you think it is? And then I give them space to kind of answer that. And that is actually, there's key physicians in the past, Sir William Osler, who's said that about this idea of letting the patient talk. So what I'm getting at is that once you just give people space a little bit, then you can more easily move into talking about sex and their relationships and all of that, and you just kind of ease into it, and then before you know it, people will start talking about it. But they don't have the time. If the doctor's got their hand on the door handle walking out with their clipboard in their hand, they're never going to open up.
And like in your experience, is there a lot of, I have a good like primary person. Like she's amazing. I've had her for shit forever, but I feel it's rare. Like where she's outside the scope of what I would think like a normal primary person will talk about. Like she lifts, she trains, She understands the hormone piece beyond a normal. And I think a lot of people just go to their person once a year for 20 minutes and then just, you don't have time to talk about sex, let alone other things.
Yeah, no, she's a unicorn, and that's great. And it's true. They're not thinking about it. They're not thinking about health, and they're not in terms of optimization. They're not thinking about exercise. It's that old cliche of your pulmonologist is sitting there smoking in front of you. I mean, you're going to take advice from that guy.
So, do people just like kind of normalize like the sexual decline in a relationship, or is it? I guess some people maybe look at it as like a warning sign, but most people just be like, well, I'm just older and this is how it's going to be.
It is a warning sign, and they very much say you have to live with it. And that's, I can't tell you how many times patients have come and told me that their primary care, their OBGYN has said to them, nah, you just got to live with it. It's just part of aging. It's okay. People have less sex, and they just sort of resign to it.
Well, and this is like, it's on topic, I guess. My wife and I were walking the other day. She went hiking with a coworker, and she's like, "Yeah, I think your coworker is what? They have 2 kids, 3 kids. She's got to be about my age, like 42." And she's like, "Yeah, I went to my OBGYN," and she's like, "Yeah, I just feel like, I don't have much energy." And she's kind of talking sex drive stuff, and and she's like, maybe like hormone replacement therapy is for me. And her OBGYN is kind of like, "Oh no, you're way too young for that." Ooh. And I'm like, I hear that, and I've obviously done this long enough, and I'm 42 myself. Like, to say it's just you're too young to do it, it's not like when you turn 43, it's just the cliff comes. Or if because like some people are shitty when they're 32 in terms of hormones. Some people can be great when they're 50. Yep. Like it's not but to have a doctor kind of dismiss it like that, is to your point, is kind of bonkers that still goes on.
Yeah, it's how they're trained, or really the lack of their training when it comes to hormone replacement therapy. You would think the gynecologist would know any and all things about women's hormones, and they don't. And unfortunately, even the endocrinologist doesn't have that great understanding. So no, and it's also they're not looking at optimization. A lot of what hormone replacement therapy has evolved into is hormone optimization versus just simply saying hormone replacement. We're looking to actually push it to a normal physiological level so the patient can live their best life, and they're just not looking at it that way. So you have to find a doctor that has that paradigm. So that way, when they do come in their 20s, and it's off, you can say, well, it's not horrible. It's not like the 50-year-old, but you're not optimal, and we can make you optimal with adding these things in.
I'll ask this too, just because I'm curious. Like, obviously, it's I'm sure you have the data on this too. The testosterone level of dudes is dramatically lower today versus, let's say, 1980 for the guys who are equivalent age. Is that just environmental, like the foods, the plastics, the stress of life, and we've fucked it forever? Like, we're never going back, or can we? Because it's like, and again, I don't know how low dudes were when they were 25, but I feel like it just wasn't what it is today. And are we just in this now is this the new normal, if you will?
A la COVID.
The worst fucking term, by the way.
Absolutely, which we all pushed back against that. I was like, no, I'm not. That's not going to be my normal.
But for this, like,
well, it's the same thing. Healing is always an option. So I always look at it that way. So if somebody's going to come into me, we're going to figure it out. You can figure it out. I don't fucking know. We're going to figure it out. I come at it in a way that's super hopeful, and I believe that I can help somebody. Yeah. And I want them to think the same thing. So that's just my premise. So with that general premise on how I approach medicine, it is true that we can reverse many, many things. And as a naturopathic doctor, you wind up seeing some pretty sort of crazy things in school, and people being able to reverse diseases that, particularly like they say you can't do anything about diabetes. That's a joke. You can. Diabetes is totally reversible, but we weren't taught that. We thought, well, no, it's this thing and you have it. And I'm even saying I had a teacher that could really do amazing things with type 1. And you would think, oh no, that's impossible, and it's not impossible. The point is that there's ways to do it. Just depends on how far somebody wants to take it. So, can we clean up our testicular production to where we have better testosterone? The answer is yes, we can. A lot of it just comes down to avoiding certain things. Now, does it mean that we're maybe wrecked at let's say, our generation right now, and then we have to do certain things to ensure that the next generation is going to be stronger? Yeah. Maybe there's only so much we're going to be able to repair the damage. I see your point. But we can repair that damage, and then from there, help the next generation to be better.
Yeah, I was just curious. I think about that. Like, it's weird how it's like most things will, I don't know. In the world nowadays, I don't know if things get better or get worse. They just kind of get how they get. But you like to think like technology's gotten better, and like we get smarter, yet we're not overall healthier. Like it's not the top 10%, yes, but the bottom is way deeper.
Yeah, it's interesting. You had said earlier when you were kind of opening, and you said if you're going to eat like a 7-year-old, and I thought, well, yeah, I kind of know what that means. But what's funny is they've done studies with this where they put children in rooms right around 7, and they would give them just whatever they wanted to eat, and they would have really good things, and then have the candy and all the crap, and the kids would come in and they would just like sit back and let them choose. And what the kids would do is they'd go for that candy. They would. But over time, they would actually start to gravitate naturally towards things that were going to be healthy for them, and they wouldn't really go for the candy as much as you'd think. So it's this, I think if you sort of step back and allow people to kind of do things naturally, instinctually, they will.
It's just like the learned behavior over time.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And we're busy. I get it.
Yeah. And we're distracted in the way things are with media and all of that. They're sort of telling us to eat those types of things. I mean, it's intense. But the answer is, yeah, you can sort of reverse it.
So if I ask like the sexual, I guess, health part of it, like the most common issues, like for dudes in terms of sexual health, like what is they come to see you for? ED, I assume.
Yeah. It starts off with a level that, well, let's say the first step is always just low libido. That means psychological desire and drive. The first step is just like, yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to. I don't want to that much. But once I get going, I get going. That's always my question. Like once you're good, you're good. Yeah, is the piping good? Yeah, okay. So that's just that first layer of it. And that comes from fatigue and low testosterone in and of itself, because testosterone's providing that drive. Then from there, they might say things like, yeah, it's mild. Sometimes I'm in the middle of sex and it just fails in the middle of it. Or the erection's not quite as good as it was, 10, 20 years ago. So there's those beginning phases. And what's happening there, yes, it's a sign of low testosterone, and it's a sign of endothelial function. It's a sign of circulation issues. And that is a cardiovascular warning sign. Back to something you were saying before. It is a warning sign. If there's an issue with erectile function, it is an absolute warning sign of something going on internally with the blood vessels. The endothelium is the lining of the blood vessels, and how it secretes nitric oxide and keeps everything sort of expanding and flexible so blood flow can go where it's supposed to go. So I would say the penis is the weather vane of the cardiovascular system.
So like tied to like whether it's like some type of heart disease or something, it could be
totally tied into it.
Yeah.
It's directly related to metabolic syndrome, which is insulin resistance or prediabetes, diabetes in and of itself, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, unexplained cholesterol, let's say, and then this sort of circulatory issues, neuropathies, any of those kind of things. That is, it's all tied in to erectile function.
And I'm sure like with that for dudes, then it becomes like this performance anxiety piece of it, where it's like then even if your body is right, like your brain has fucked you so hard, it's like you can't really like even perform if you're physically able to.
Yeah, and that's the perfect word, performance, and that's what it is for guys. I mean, it's probably not that it isn't that way at all for women, but it's different.
They're like Patrick Bateman up there, flexing in front of the camera, doing a show,
right?
American Psycho shit.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So guys get a lot of pressure, and that it's a perpetuating kind of cycle for them. So we can sort of disrupt that cycle to kind of get things a little bit better, and then they get a little more confidence, and then from there, almost like the body takes over, depending on where it's at. If it's mild kind of ED, a little bit can go a long way. Testosterone in and of itself can just help with mild ED.
So when you see a guy and he comes in and it's just like it's low libido, maybe he has the beginning of this. A lot of times you see him, it's like their hormones are at X, and then you take them to Y, and that will solve most of it.
Most of it, absolutely. Most of it, most of the time in that scenario of a sort of low libido, mild ED. He's in his 40s, early 50s, something like that. Testosterone's the foundation. He's low, maybe he's 200, 300, 400, even 500. He's like suboptimal for him. We're trying to get 700 to 1100.
Yeah.
High end of that sort of quartile range. And we replace that, and generally speaking, it's better. But also then we're saying, hey, why don't you go see Jeremy Scott, start exercising, do all these other things to make the testosterone that much more effective for the sake of the libido.
And when I forget what you guys do. Do you do for dudes? Is it they're doing bi-weekly, once a week injections every other day? What is the
twice weekly is what I recommend. We're either doing subcutaneous pellets, which generally speaking for most guys, I'm after 19 years of doing pellets for men, I'm not a big fan for men.
They fuck them up.
There's extrusion rates. That's the problem with it. It's infection rates and extrusion rates.
Yep.
Infection because we place them on the side of the hip, they're exercising, and it just sort of, it's like a splinter underneath the skin, and it wants to sort of pop out and create a little local infection. So the pellets are much bigger for men as they are for women.
Yeah.
So anyway, so for men, it's subcutaneous injections of testosterone cypionate twice weekly is what I recommend.
And what do you think of the dudes? Because I see a lot of people, this used to be, nobody talked about anything, and now it's like people talk about everything. So there was really no peptide talk, and now every I don't know what the term I want to call it, like bullshit influencers slinging peptides on fucking Instagram, which is by the way, don't buy those, you guys. That's nonsense. Like, it's just, that's not the way to go. Like, they don't know what they're telling you. You don't know what's good for you. You haven't done scans of your body. You don't know have any. This is fucking crazy. But to my point, you'll see people now breaking down full like steroid cycles that like I used to hear friends of mine talk about back in the day. And now it's like they're just giving open protocols, which is bonkers. But with that, they'll be like, hey, we're doing essentially microdosing their testosterone doses every single day.
Yeah.
Like, is that overkill? Is there any benefit to like, I'm sure like there's data, doing 2 injections a week versus 1. Is 3 better? Is doing every day better? That seems
great question.
Like a lot to manage.
That's what it is. Because I actually work with human beings.
This is not, they're not like just gearheads bodybuilding going crazy.
They're willing to almost do anything for the sake of, the success that they're looking for. But the average patient, 2 times a week is adequate to prevent the spike up and to prevent the drop down in testosterone. 2 times a week. Yes, I've had patients do it 3. I've had patients do it the microdose daily. I think it's crazy. I mean, if they want to do it, great. I've supported this. Some people come in and say, that's what I want to do. Good for you.
But and not a measurable
difference?
Yeah, so
really.
If you came to me and said, hey, man, I'm going to come in and work out hard 4 times a week, or I'm going to come in and work out hard 6 times a week. As an adult with kids and a job, I think the 4 is probably because long term that's realistic.
Sure.
You travel, you have a life. It's like, are you going to be doing that shit every day? So that makes sense to me.
Well, and just like we know with exercise, it's more about consistency. That that plug and chug. I don't know. I think I've seen some where even twice a week, but they did it all year, versus the person who was 4 or 5 times a week, but they would do it in tranches of 2-3 months and then stop, and then 2-3 months and then stop. That person they have their routine, they plug and chug. So it's the same thing with testosterone and hormone replacement therapy. It's a consistency that you need. If you have that just plug and chug consistency of the hormone in your system, and you're a good soldier, the patient comes in and they're good, after time they're just going to do so much better.
Because the problem is, this is just like thinking long term, if you were doing it every day, if you start missing days, now you have to fuck with the doses, and then it becomes that's a whole thing.
No, it's crazy.
So what if you have a guy who, I guess he is, you come to see him, but he has like real ED where he can't, the testosterone's not moving the needle. That's like and And I guess when these guys come in, are they healthy individuals, or are they like maybe have weight to lose? They're not the healthiest guy, and that's part of the problem.
Yes, and yes. I mean, they can come in super healthy. I mean, sometimes it's surprising. They're so healthy, but they still have the ED.
No shit.
Oh yeah, and then that's where you start thinking psychological things that go along with that. But even if it isn't that, it just could frankly be their testosterone.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I've laid down that foundation of testosterone for them, we've got it kind of going. They've been on it for several weeks, a few months, whatever, and then they're like, yeah, it's not really kind of nothing's working that way. Now I'm starting to think the piping. So now we're looking at the tissue itself can be affected, and there's different ways of going about that. Again, first line of defense, I got a younger guy, right around 40s or 50s. I'm going to give him sublingual routes of the PDE5 inhibitors, these the Viagras of the world, Levitra, Cialis is really what I prefer.
Tadalafil.
Yeah. And low dose of that. And I'll start with low dose, a daily Tadalafil, Cialis, about 5 milligrams daily.
They always use that for prostate stuff too, right? They're like one and the same.
No, it's more actually like Viagra was a blood pressure medication.
Okay,
Yeah, because it's all back to that lining of the blood vessel, that endothelium, and it's increasing nitric oxide, which expands the blood vessel. So initially with Viagra, when they were first studying it, it was for blood pressure. And they went, well, it kind of works for blood pressure. Not great, but wow, look at this side effect. And the side effect was erections.
Yeah.
Right. So,
but you prefer Cialis.
Cialis. Yeah. That's a second, third generation version of it. And it's more of a long acting. What happens with Viagra, it's a short acting. So it's in and it's out. So that's why you get more side effects. Guys get headaches and flushing and all of that, and frontal sinus.
Oh, because it's like real time.
It's like in very rapidly. But too fast, and so you get the side effects. But long acting, it's still getting into your system quickly, especially with a sublingual. But it's going to kind of, again, we're back to this plug and chug kind of thing for them sexually. So I usually start with the low dose because that's not giving them an erection right there. It's just priming the pump. So then it makes them easier to get the erection when they're actually ready.
Okay, yeah.
That I'll give them nitric oxide, just a regular supplement of nitric oxide. We're back to the idea of bodybuilding and using, pre-workout drinks that are all designed ultimately for nitric oxide. In part,
I used to drink NO Explode.
Right. Yeah.
It was like pre-workout. Right. And like shit my pants every time. And I'm like, wouldn't question it. I'm like, this is fine. Yeah. I'm like, but again,
I'm pumped.
That's the whole thing.
Dose makes the poison, dose makes the cure. So, I mean, it was probably too much of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that we have a professional version of that. It's called Neo 40. And that's, again, a foundational nitric oxide, mild ED kind of thing. But even if you were, back to your point or your question, this guy, it's not really working, I'm moving into that. Then from there, we can go in higher doses of the Tadalafil, depending on his reaction. Then beyond that, what I've been really having a lot of fun with here lately is a combination of a peptide called PT141 or bremelanotide and oxytocin. And we put that in a sublingual. And that's not only helping with erections, it's helping with orgasm. And both men and women can take the same exact medication, same combination.
So they just come together? They're like peptides, essentially, yeah?
Well, PT141 is a peptide. Oxytocin is a hormone.
Yeah.
So it's a hormone in the realm where now everything they call everything a peptide now.
No, I know.
I was listening to some guy the other day on some video, and he's like, he was talking about clomid. And he's like, it's a peptide. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy talking? But again, back to this influencer concept. Yeah. It's like everything's a peptide now. And no, clomiphene is a medication that's been around forever.
Yeah. I took it for IVF. Yeah, I'm familiar.
Right.
Yeah.
It's standard stuff, and it's by no means in the same realm as a peptide in terms of size. Anyway, the oxytocin's a hormone.
Yeah.
And that's been given also for years, and really, really helps with. It's interesting that those two. Well, let's talk about PT141. They call it bremelanotide. So there's something called melanotan. Melanotan is another peptide that actually helps you. It stimulates the melanocytes so you can get tan. And bodybuilders have been using melanotan for years. And that melanotan will actually create an erection as well. So bodybuilders always knew that there was that side effect of erections while they were simultaneously getting tan without even having to go out in the sun. So what they figured out was they took the portion of the molecule of melanotan that was the portion that was actually causing it's through the hypothalamus and all of that in terms of stimulating the libido and the erection, literally through the CNS all the way straight down erection. So they got bremelanotide abbreviated. It's that abbreviated portion of that molecule. So yeah, it helps with erections. It helps with, it's one of the few FDA approved medications for women for female sexual dysfunction. It's called, I think it's called Vyleesi, and it's bremelanotide.
And so what is that's like a weekly injection, daily?
It's twice weekly. But you can also use it sort of the Viagra-esque in the sense that you can do it per event. It will have that effect within, depending on the patient, somewhere between 30 minutes up to maybe 4 hours where it really kind of kicks in. Usually it's a little bit more, but it can be as long as 4 hours. Anyway, and then it has a longer half-life. So someone could like feel good and have that libido and then the next day still be kind of a little bit ramped up. And then after about the second, third, fourth day, it starts to kind of lower again. So twice weekly. So it just kind of depends on how they want to use it.
And it's injectable, yeah?
That's an injectable.
Yeah.
But again, back to this, we've figured out how to put this into a lozenge.
Yeah.
So it works really well with the lozenge. A lot of these peptides, I generally would say, you got to use that as an injection. But the PT141, bremelanotide, we have definitely seen that can be as a sublingual lozenge.
Interesting. Yeah, because I've heard people even with again, everybody and their brother now talks about this shit, like BPC 157 and those things, and the people are like, oh, the oral versions, and I'm like, I've never seen that in person. I've only seen the injectables, and I'm like, is the oral version a thing? Like, is it as effective? Is it not as effective? Just as a side note.
Yeah, I do think it is effective. It's one of the few that is orally, and because BP 157 is actually
for the gut,
it's a gastric. It's where it's found. It's produced literally in your stomach. Yeah. So it's one of the few that are gastrically stable. So if I have a patient coming in and I'm using it for GI issues, I actually give it to them orally.
Okay.
Any other reason, if they're having issues with joints or generalization, I'm going to say sub-Q for sure on that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Anyway, back to the oxytocin. So we got the PT141, that's helping with men and women. And then the oxytocin really, really helps with orgasm. It kind of lowers that threshold for orgasm. And what's interesting about oxytocin is like it's the love hormone. It's the bonding hormone. And with women, what happens with women will say things like, "Yeah, I love my husband and my kids, but they can just stay away for a little bit. Like, don't touch me. Like, stay away." Yeah. And what happens for women if their oxytocin levels go down, they literally get kind of shut down. It's a little bit of a frigidness, that type of thing. There's an apathy for life, for relationships. So oxytocin kind of wakes that up. And I'll kind of go through and read sort of a series of questions for women on that one. And when it's right, it's really, really right. It literally softens them. And the same thing can happen with guys. It kind of, what happens with men is sort of ramps them up emotionally.
I was going to say, like, dudes are going to start crying all the
time.
Right,
no, but it allows them to be more receptive. Guys, we got to kick ourselves in the ass to get going that way sometimes. Yeah. The oxytocin helps with that. And then that all, again, has mechanisms for orgasm.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I had not heard of... I've heard of oxytocin. It's like you hug your dog, you get this rush.
Exactly. Yeah. Hugging your dog, looking at somebody in the eyes, these kind of things, kissing your wife, hugging your wife, all these kind of things are helping with oxytocin. But even with that, it might not produce the way we want it to.
And so it's just like, it just levels it up or frees it up in your body, I guess, to like...
It frees it. It frees.
I guess you're putting it in.
Yeah, it makes it available.
Yeah,
correct. It makes it available, and then from there, it has its different effects based on need and based on gender.
Interesting. So if we go to women, then I guess like their biggest sex issues, like when they come in, obviously it's not
low
ED.
Libido. No. It's what happens sort of downstairs for women. It's vaginal dryness.
Yeah,
everything's just sort of shut down. And a lot of times that's what women mean. They'll say, I have vaginal dryness, and I have to make sure I ask the question, do you have vaginal dryness right now sitting here in front of me? Or you just me? They'll say, no, when I'm trying to get going with intercourse, I'm not, as moist as I used to be. I don't have as much secretion as I used to have. So there's that. But if it's just frank vaginal dryness, which is a major problem, that is, that's no joke. We think a little bit of vaginal dryness, and even OBGYNs don't take that as seriously as they should, because it can be so bad that it can turn into septic situations for women, like major infections. It's like, and which
No
then
shit.
all of that can travel up, kidneys and all of that. So it's no joke to just make sure you're handling vaginal dryness. So we deal with that.
And what's the cause? Is as you get older,
Hormones. The hormones go down, and then back to something else you said about age. It's testosterone for women, and they're starting to experience low testosterone. Well, first of all, it's happening in their 20s, where it becomes clinically relevant for most women is in their 30s, and it's definitely clinically relevant in their 40s. Low testosterone, but that's just not thought of. It is lately, and we've had sort of a little bit of a resurgence and an understanding of.
Well, I think taking the label off for people, whatever that's worth,
Yeah.
it does help people unfuck their thought process. Which
Absolutely.
I never bought into that, but
Well, neither did I, but
Clearly.
many people did. Unfortunately, you're right. It was so the black box warning was taken off of estrogen, but the whole idea of even testosterone for women hasn't. They're just starting to talk about it. Some of these gurus, these very physician gurus out there that are talking about it, are now finally talking about testosterone for women, and I've been saying that for 2 decades, and they need it. That's the first hormone to go for a woman. It's starting to go after the age of 20, a woman's testosterone starts to decline. So by the time they get into their 30s, that becomes that first thing that's clinically relevant that's affecting their libido. So why are they going to kind of come in and say they have low libido? It's just their testosterone's off. And if they're in that perimenopausal state before estrogens really come down, that very well could be the reason they're even having vaginal dryness is because of the testosterone, not the estrogen.
because a lot of women, we've had them here where it's just zero.
Yeah.
Zero's the number.
Correct.
Which is, and does I don't have a primary female doctor, but I mean, my doctor's a female, but I'm not a female. Like when they go in and say, hey, if they pull their stuff, which I don't even know if they do, if you request them, I would hope they would. Hey, my testosterone's 0. Mm-hmm. Is for a female, does your primary be like, oh, that's cool?
That's normal for a woman. Don't worry.
No shit.
Yeah, it's normal.
Because for a dude, I know it's like, hey, you're 387. That's the normal
That's
range.
normal, yeah, because you're still within the range.
Even though you're screwed.
Right.
But if you're a dude and you're 240, they'll admit you're fucked. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So for a female, is there what is there? There's never a number.
Well, there is.
Can you be
no.
Can you be negative?
No, you can't. It can't be. You can be 0 for sure. What happens on the lab? Let's say it depends on SonoraQuest, LabCorp, Quest Diagnostics, wherever you are in the country. The range will vary from around literally 0. I've seen it to where 0 is normal, all the way up to about 82. I think it's SonoraQuest currently is 2 to 45
For a female.
2. So you'd have to be a 1 to be flagged low. A 1 or a 0 to be flagged low. A 2, which is still 0, it would be not considered low. So it's absurd. The ranges are absurd. They just have not caught up. So we're using between 70 and 150 as an optimized replacement range for women, which is roughly 1/10 of the range of what we use for men, 700 to 1200.
Yeah.
And men make 10 times more than women. So that's sort of the reasoning there. And just clinically, that 70 to 150 for women, it just works. You keep them right in and around there, almost always they're going to be great.
And the women, do they differ in the fact of they're like a dude? It's testosterone. It's one thing. It's simple. Is the females? Is it like a mix?
Yeah,
is
it's testosterone and estrogen.
And is everybody's different, or there's like a kind of a protocol? I mean, obviously the dosing is for sure, but is that kind of mix similar for most people? Like, hey, the testosterone is X amount, the estrogen is this amount, and then we just fuck with the milligrams.
Yep,
based off
and
that.
to make make it look pretty on paper.
Yeah.
As long as we can kind of generally get there. And then even then, I'm not only looking at the labs, I'm seeing how they're responding to all that, having those conversations and understanding. But yeah, for women, and I can say too, it's progesterone. And this is where I'm different in my approach. A lot of people think progesterone is the end all be all for women. And that has not been my experience. That was not the experience of my mentor, an OBGYN mentor, Dr. Gino Tutera. We did not see, and I have not seen for 19 years, the real benefit of progesterone therapeutically. Some of it, yes, a little bit. I don't want to say zero, but a lot of times they're like, well, you got to check progesterone. You got to see those progesterone levels, and it's all about progesterone. And most of the time we see more side effects with progesterone for women than we do the benefit in the midst of replacement. I have to give it if I'm protecting their uterine lining. I have no choice to give it. So when I'm giving it, I see more side effects than benefit. So trying to answer your question, it's mostly estrogen, testosterone for women is what we're really focusing on.
And so if that's the thing you go, I guess that's like the first line of like fixing it. If that's, do women have like a version of like for dudes where it's like, hey, this hormones didn't work, we'll do these next, here's the deeper steps.
Yeah, so the deeper stuff, so we're back to this idea of really approaching the tissue itself. So we kind of brain level, hormonal level, and then tissue level. And the tissue level would mean actually affecting, so for men or women, either the penis or the intervaginal wall and the clitoris. And we can do that with something called the O shot for women and the P shot for guys.
Yeah.
So this is using platelet-rich plasma, which is, we draw your blood, we spin down the blood in a really special way to separate out all the platelets that has the growth factors in it. And then we can strategically inject that PRP anywhere in the body. You can do it for joint health.
I think I had a dude here who did it too.
But with the P shot? Or yeah.
He had it done.
Had it done.
I'm not going to say the name on here.
Or did he admit it on the podcast?
Oh, David DiLorenzo? No, I'm fucking with him. I'm sorry, Dilo. No, it wasn't really Dave, everybody. I'm fucking with him. He's my business partner on some other shit. No, I'll share it afterwards. I'm going to write it down so I don't forget. But we talked about it because I don't want to share too much. Yeah, the other David. But no, we talked about it once. I think we weren't on the air. There's no fucking way. Like, so I'd already talked to you. I don't even know if you'd been on the podcast yet, but I had talked to you in your office and you'd said it in your office. And I'm like,
yeah, I've heard of that.
And I repeated it to him too. And he's like, oh yeah, I've done that. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck? yeah. So I'll talk to you about it afterwards. Anyways, so go. Yeah, you can explain them real quick, both of them again.
Yeah. So
P shot.
Let's say for a guy's penis is a double barrel shotgun. So there's two sort of tubes in there, and then we are placing that platelet-rich plasma. We're numbing you up. You're numbed up with a cream. Then I do a central nerve block too, numbed up super well. And I mean, it takes longer to numb you than to actually do the procedure. And then blip, 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 we go sort of along the shaft, 4 different places and 1 into the glands, into the head of the penis. And again, very numb. And what you get out of this is you're laying down new blood vessels and new nerves. And this winds up helping with not just erectile function over time, but guys will get a 10 to 20% increase in length and girth of the penis. So they're usually saying, where do I sign?
Yeah, I think that's the kicker for some people.
It's a bonus, for sure. And look, there is truth to that. There is definitely a size increase that happens. And
permanent? No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. There's like cellular change that's occurring.
Crazy.
But here's what I think some of it is. If a guy's in his 50s or 60s, he has lost some level of length and girth because his ability to achieve a maximum erection has gone down. So by doing this therapy, we're helping to kind of maximize what you had.
Oh, yeah.
So we're kind of restoring what was there, but you didn't realize. You go, well, shit, now it's just bigger. But you didn't realize that actually it probably had a slight decrease in length and girth over the years. Yeah.
That makes sense.
So that's what I believe is part of it, but there's been some independent studies with that just with the PRP alone, plus that it does increase length and girth. But also, we're giving a pump. It's a penis pump. It's a vacuum pump, and then that's like exercise for the penis. So we're doing the procedure, we're getting all that growth factor in there, and then from there you take home this penis pump and you do that, 10, 15 minutes twice a day for about 6 weeks. And
so it's like a real physical therapy protocol.
Straight up. Yeah. And that's that in and of itself is called a traction device. So all of that is just waking things up downstairs.
No shit.
So for women, it's platelet-rich plasma, and then we're injecting, I would say like this, urethra, clitoris, and we're just the anterior vaginal wall, and we're just kind of going right in. They call this the G spot, and then I'm plumping that up. And then what happens when you put that into the anterior vaginal wall, that's pushing up in and around the urethra, which is also known to be the G spot area. So you're kind of helping with that, but you're also helping with incontinence. So for a lot of women, they've got all kinds of incontinence issues, laughing, coughing, sneezing, and they're urinating, jumping rope.
And that just like, is that post kids, or that's just
that could be post kids? That can be just getting older. They can not even necessarily related to kids, just getting older.
Yeah.
The urethra, the sphincters around the urethra, all these things become weakened, and especially if there's dryness and all of that. So the O shot winds up coming in and helping those tissues and preventing and actually literally treating the incontinence. And then we then inject directly into the clitoris. Again, there's a nerve block that goes on. Actually, the clitoris, they're super, super numb for that. I never feel that. And that helps, again, with sensitivity.
So if someone's obviously listening, like and you feel like hopeless, there is multiple options.
My God.
Is there anything that's like maybe, because again, like I've done this long enough. This is the 680th episode.
Oh, wow.
This is a lot, dude, for many years. And I've been doing this for 20 years. So I've met a ton of doctors across the board. Mm-hmm. Some are amazing and some are just like, they're just doing it, which is fine too. Like, you're a gamer, obviously, but do you ever see, is there like a common thread in, like, let's say for men who go into even like a naturopathic type place, like that does, I don't want to say does what you guys do, but like it looks the same on the outside, but they're kind of missing steps, right? Like where they go in, it's like, well, we're just going to do this. Maybe I offer, testosterone, just do an injection once a week and you should be fine. Yeah. Like, is there things, like if someone's hearing that, like what's the advice? Or women too, like if they go somewhere, like what's the advice? Just try to find.
Comprehensive. That is the best word that I can use to try to answer your question. If they're not looking at, I look at comprehension as comprehensively. Like everything that I do is comprehensive to the whole. And to the whole of the person. But let's say if we're just talking about the O shot, like I said, if someone is just like, yeah, just the O shot's amazing, just do the O shot. No, what about hormones? Or, I used to work at a practice that just did hormone pellets. And my mentor pretty much thought that everything could be cured by a freaking pellet. And they are amazing. But they don't do it all. If you don't look at it comprehensively, you're missing things for the sake of that patient and for the sake of that pellet to work better. So comprehension, if they're trying to say, yeah, I have a low libido and I want to try to find someone that's going to help me, if they're just piecemealing it, or now what's happening with all these, the med spas, oh my God, these med spas are
crazy.
It's really crazy because they're just sort of adding on to the service list. Oh, we just do this. And it's just a tech-based approach versus a real medical, comprehensive approach. And, people say, yeah, I did the O shot, didn't work. Well, what quality PRP? Was it a double spin? I mean, I've actually evolved now past regular platelet-rich plasma. I'm using something called VidiPure by BioXStem. Highly recommend that particular company. I've vetted them for months. And it's a basically stem cell type of approach. But, I'm constantly looking, how do I make it better? It's really good now. How do we make it better? That is the theme and the culture in my office with my staff and the team. How do we make it better? Never settle. How can we make it better?
Well, I've talked on here a lot about, we've had a lot of stem cell talks with physicians and even like the Regenerative program and those types of things that are more advanced. And to your point, like and I'm sure there's great med spas that do a lot of awesome stuff, but there's dudes out here doing stem cell shit on joints with no imaging at all.
Yep.
And they're just I'm like, how the fuck do you know where this is even going? Like, you can't possibly see in the knee. If you can't, like, it could go into the pad and like, you have no clue. And with the service, and I'm not trying to talk shit about med spas, but I've seen a lot of them now go from like, we offer the normal services that I would assume like my wife would go use or something we do Botox or whatever the fuck. Right. Now it's like, oh, we do hormones.
Yep.
We do these peptides, which tend to be like
most of the GLP-1s, yeah.
Yeah, and then some of the popular, like more, I want to say vanity-based ones, but like you get the CJCs or whatever the ones that they have access to, and that's it. And they give a description on the website. That's fucking nonsense.
Right.
Like you're doing, again, that's what I would tell anybody. I'm like, and I think a lot of these things in proper application are very safe and the reward is greater than the risk. But I'm like, you don't know because you haven't pulled your blood work. You have no idea. And I can read the basic things, but you're going to go so much further down the rabbit hole than I am. Like I can like, okay, my AST or ALT, like I can understand it because I have fucking AI, but I'm like, that doesn't mean I can actually interpret it and like fix the problem. And that's the kind of the good part is we have access to all these things now. And then the bad part is we have access to all these things now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's craziness out there. But
So you should say at least like if you go somewhere, they should, at least to me, like, and this is how I look at like finances, right? Like I didn't know shit until I had any money and then I had to figure it out so I didn't get ripped off. And it's like when I go to my finance guy, he doesn't talk to me like that's all he does all day. He talks to me like I'm a third grader. So I can understand.
Yeah.
So I can learn like, okay, here's what ETFs are. Like, so I start to know everything. And I think like that's what your doctor should do too.
yes.
Hopefully.
Docere, a doctor's teacher. It's a naturopathic premise that I go out of my way. I'm very verbose and I'm redundant and I don't mind. I'm never condescending, but I don't want to sit like I can't stand when doctors sit there and they talk so lofty just because they can use the words and it makes them feel sort of, I don't know, comfortable or superior or something. But then the patient's going, what the fuck did he just say? So I go out of my way to bring it down into a real world situation so they can walk out truly informed about the whole entire process.
So in terms of just like lab numbers and things like that, which is the easiest, it's like when we look at somebody who's not getting the physical results they want. From a 30,000 foot view, I can see like, hey, you drink 10 glasses of wine a week. That's pretty fucking simple. Same thing with like testosterone numbers and those things. But can somebody have normal labs and still feel like they're off?
Yeah.
And then, so how do you look at that, right? So you go in, everything, and again, whatever's fine versus optimal are two different things. Let's say somebody's like in a good range. Now, is it more just like it's a physical thing? It's a psychological thing? It's a mix of it? How do you try to attack that?
Yeah. I always start with the premise of the physical. That's what everyone can get their brain around. I usually have labs, which, by the way, that's the other big discerning factor. I mean, my annual labs, I think we're up to 10 or 11 pages now. And I'm always dorking out and adding something else or whatever, So
and that's a huge commitment for people, too, to understand, like, you have to take ownership of this. And, like, not that you have to know everything on there, but you should be somewhat educated. But you do have to either invest the money or the time and then like try to learn some of these things so you can be, I understand when he says this, what this looks like. Because I've seen the labs that you pull up and it is a lot of shit.
Yeah.
It's a ton.
Yeah, it is. And there's something, everything on there, it's all important and it all relates back to the whole. I can usually say, here, this one over here and come over to page 9 and that relates to this. And I try to show them the sort of the web of it all.
Because your primary stuff, like I'll go in and my girl, she'll just rip whatever I want to do. Which is amazing.
That's great.
And we have great insurance too, so it's awesome. So it'll just let it rip and like we can go in and it's a lot of stuff. I feel like if I didn't know her and I just went in and you took out like all the advanced, like, so if we can look at like ApoB and we look at all the hormones and that would be like a 1 page, maybe 1.5.
Yeah.
It's not a lot.
No.
And that's like once a year. That's fucking crazy, dude. That's what a normal person does.
Right.
There's no way. And again, you probably have these guys check every couple months once they're on a program with you.
In the very beginning, we're lab work happy, yes.
And then you back off.
Yeah, and then we pull back, and then it depends on where the patient's at. I mean, we could get it down to an annual, but again, my annual lab is multiple pages. This depends on where they're at. But yeah, generally, it's a couple times a year.
So I guess once you look at the physical, and then if it's a psychological thing, like, do you?
This is what I'm asking. That's what we were saying. Are you stressed? No. Are you stressed? No. Are you stressed? Well, actually.
Yeah.
And again, we're back to time and space and comfort. I always use this example. I had a patient, this is years ago, and she came in and, are you stressed? No. She said several times. And I knew she was because I knew her. And, I meet the patient where they're at. I'm not judging them, not overly, pushing. But I just kept coming back and we just kept talking. So I'd change the subject, talk about something else, go back to the labs, what we were talking about. And eventually she admitted that, her best friend had just died of breast cancer. But when you say, are you stressed or what's going on? No, nothing. And then it took, I don't know, we were about 15 minutes in the conversation before she went, well, I guess that. Because part of it was maybe a little resistance on her part to want to believe that it's no way is it psychological, no way is it emotional. It's got to be something physical. You're the physical doctor, fix it. And then because it's taking away their ownership to that and the understanding that stress just gets in the way of so many different things, and how we react to stress has so much to do with it. So it sounds like sometimes what can happen, I think, when doctors just say it flippantly, oh, you're stressed, you're fine, you're stressed. And it's just like a flippant answer versus saying, no, it's stress. Let's try to explore that and what that means to you, to where you can maybe, and yeah, I say, I got voodoo. I'm going to do some things for you. I'm going to help you. But we have to understand this part of it. And when it comes to sex, the stress has so much to do with it. And,
Well, and you say that because, your brain is the most powerful thing, because you can convince yourself of both, right? I mean,
Right.
It's the reason why dudes like romanticize, like it's the Al Bundy. I threw 4 touchdowns in a high school football game. It's like we remember ourselves as Tom Brady. Like I think that's testosterone. A lot of it has to do with it. But there is that. But you also can convince yourself you're sick. Like you can worry so much you give yourself like a rash. Mm-hmm. Then that's completely psychological, and it manifests into this physical. So I do see that as a huge piece.
Yeah, it's real. I mean, the physical nature of it winds up being real. It's that they're experiencing something.
Yes.
So I always say, yeah, that's you're experiencing, but let's at least, at the barest minimum, let's accept that that's part of it. And then from there, we'll sort of combine the physical and that sort of emotional recognition, at least, to where we can get where you want to go.
It's like the worst scenario, but it's the best, because like your brain is doing this to you. Mm-hmm. Because you're thinking these things or whatever the whether it's internal or external stress, but you can't fix it with there's no medication in that. It's just you can unfuck it. It's just you have to get to it's a weird thing because it's fixable, but
it's about attention. And I say that's the other thing that I think I do. I get a patient's attention because they feel better in some way. And then, maybe we talk a little bit about diet, and then they come back and see me in 4 to 6 weeks. Now I have their attention because they're feeling better. They're beginning to trust a little bit more. We're easing our way. And then they're going to listen to something about their stress and what they should do for that. And maybe not that conversation, maybe another conversation. But I keep their attention because we're working on so many different things, and they're feeling better to some degree.
And do you ever I'm sure you guys get couples too who come in like as a team. But you ever get like a partner coming in and then you help them, but then they like will talk shit, not talk shit, but like, yeah, but I wish my husband would come here.
Oh yeah,
because he sucks.
All
and
the
then
time.
How does that? Because like, we get it in like the dumbed down version of you. Like we'll get it. Maybe it's a dude who comes here. Typically it's females. Dudes are more stubborn. Mm-hmm. She'll come here. Oh, my husband would love this. It's a great community. He loves the people, and he really needs help. But he's a fucking dude. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to be a beginner.
Yep.
Or he doesn't want to act like he needs help or doesn't know something. How do you guys tackle that ever?
Well, first of all, I just try to bring them in no matter what. But I just said this to a patient the other day. I said, have him come in with you, especially in a day we have labs, and then just say, honey, I just really need you there. To help me understand what's going on with these labs. Can you just kind of
mansplain it?
Correct. Yeah. And then make him feel like, oh yeah, I'll come on in here and I'll help out, talk with this doctor with you and figure out, because she's asking for his help.
Yeah. So like he has any fucking clue.
Right. Yeah, so he wants to come in to be able to help. And then when they do, then I think a lot of times they just say, okay, I'm a normal guy and I care. And then maybe they could ask a few questions and I can answer some questions right in there. But it's within the context of him coming in helping her.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so that's a little backdoor way that we kind of do it.
And again, because you and your wife obviously, kind of tag team this. Is it ever like I don't want to say like a counseling thing, but like is the issue like once you fix the hormone stuff, it tends to be like they get on a better track, and then from there it's just they have to communicate and figure that shit out on their own?
Yeah, to some degree. I mean, in the end, I'm not, a flat out therapist, but I do a lot of that with
You
patients.
wear a lot of hats, yeah.
I do. And, that's actually part of, especially as a naturopathic doctor, we get training in therapy to some degree, more than what you get in traditional.
Dude, I do my ghetto version of it here, and I do fitness, man. Like, because they come in, hey, Jeremy, I'm thinking about getting divorced. I'm like, I'm not really, I don't want to be responsible for that, but I'm like, if they suck, maybe.
Right. Yeah, it's because it's about caring, and I care, so I think you can get quite a bit of headway with a patient just by showing that you care and giving them that space. Or I point them in directions, or, I have a fantastic sister-in-law who's a triple board certified psychiatrist, so sometimes, and she deals with sort of wellness and functional psychiatry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, there's ways to kind of go about it. But yeah, we're talking about it. And yes, I've had them come in. I've had husband and wives sit in front of me with their arms crossed and said, we're getting a divorce. If you don't fix it, that's it. We're out. We're done. So
it's a tough Thursday.
Right.
Yeah.
No pressure on me.
Yeah, man.
So we've been able to help him. And in fact, I'm just listening to, they're talking about a study. Most of the divorces start to happen for women. They're asking for divorces right around menopause.
Really?
Yeah. And so it's that sort of 40-50 there, and it's hormonal in part. It doesn't mean that he's not an asshole or something else is not going on.
For sure.
But it is changing her ability to have stress resilience and also tolerance. So it's just, whatever. We all have our personality things. And when she has hormones, she's just more tolerant for the kids, more tolerant for the husband. And then those hormones start to go away, and then now she doesn't have the tolerance. Back to that oxytocin concept. So that's estrogen, oxytocin, testosterone. All those things can be replaced to help get their own personal attention back to be able to go and hopefully repair their relationships.
And I guess I'll ask this too. What is because there's people who listen, and I got a guy even the other day, he's, I don't know how older than me. So that's, over 42. And he sent me a note, hey, I want to come in, train, whatever. We've been having a dialogue through some mutual friends. And he's like, here's my training, here's my eating, here's what I do. But I don't want to get on, hormone replacement therapy unless I absolutely have to, because I don't think I need it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know the numbers. I don't know the context of it. But just the way that he was like saying it was like, he looked at it, it was like this, like defeatist, like negative thing. And I'm like, my take is this. It's like, it's not the concept of like, well, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I'm like, well, if it could be better, dude, it's good as broken. Right. That's how I look at it. Because I'm like,
form of break.
Yeah. Why would you not want to be, especially because I guess in terms of testosterone, since this is a dude who was messaging me, like, what is the fear or the misinformation or the media narrative? I don't even know what it would be. Like, what's the negative thing that's out there that dudes are scared of, I guess. Like that you're going to have to like do it forever, but you're going to have to drink water forever. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to wipe your ass forever. Like it's not much more complex than that.
But they have separated out that idea, let's say natural, truly natural things, water, to anything that is within the realm of conventional medicine in any way, shape, or form, i.e. a medication. They feel like they're giving up. And so many times patients say, I don't want to be dependent upon it. They feel a fear of the dependence of the thing that could very well be the very thing that make them feel better and optimal, but they fear that dependency. They feel like they themselves should be the sole person and entity to be able to make themselves feel better.
But like the way, and I understand it from a concept of that. Now, again, if you're 59 and you're listening and you get your blood work done and you're naturally 897.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't touch it.
Cool,
yeah,
dude. I go.
Great. Yeah.
There's just not that many. You're a fucking unicorn, dude. Right. Like there's not. I know probably 2 of like the 1,000 dudes I know. Yeah, that's not a lot.
I have a handful of patients like that.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Mm-hmm. There's also dudes who like have naturally great hair and perfect eyesight. Right. I'm like, I've been wearing contacts since I was fucking 8. Right. I've been dependent on it for 30 years. You know what I mean? Like. That's kind of how I look at this. Am I going to just one day not wear contacts and just be blind all the time? Mm-hmm. Like it's replacing what was gone.
Right.
So what do you say to dudes who, if that's their thing, like, hey man, I really don't want to be dependent on it. I'm 46 years old. I don't want to do this for the next 30 years. what are your options?
Right. I mean, and what you were saying too, like, this idea that, you got to wipe your ass, you got to drink water. It's these standard things. I do my best to try to relate that, especially when it comes to, let's say, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. I mean, it is very, very natural in that context. And I'm just saying I'm replacing something that's natural to the system. So usually if I can put it in more the context of something that's natural, they can get their brain around it. But I mean, I think, people don't even want to take vitamin C because they feel like it's, the pill that I got to take, they're just really against it. And, it's a tough conversation. Either they're going to see it or they're not.
And then in terms of, I guess if we go, I'll just geek out about this real quick and I won't keep you here forever. Like the estradiol stuff that gets like a negative rap. And when you look at that stuff, like what is that about? Like, why is that?
Okay, let's talk about that. This
like what happens when it's too high or too low? Because again, I know
for men now we're talking about.
Yeah, let's do dudes first. Yeah.
So estrogen has been associated with prostatic issues, and that was, when I say older research that. It's also interesting. Mortality rates are higher when testosterone and estrogen are low. So we actually could look at both of them. Estrogen's not evil. So fast forward now, we understand that estrogen is important for your brain. For a man, it's important for your bones. It's important to balance out the testosterone with some level of estrogen in your system. It's not evil. You need it. So I don't obsess about estrogen the way I used to. If that's your question.
Yeah.
I used to give aromatase inhibitors more regularly. It's not that I don't give them now.
Oh, what's that, like an anastrozole or something?
And I give letrozole, which is the second generation, and it's a very, very small amount. It's a 2.5 milligram pill. I'll give half a pill once a month, and that's usually enough just to take the edge off. But that's only in select guys. They're overweight. They're not exercising. They're already sort of very estrogenic, and so I know the testosterone is going to make it go crazy. And even then, I check the labs to make sure. And I'm super conservative with, but a lot of guys younger, when I say younger, anybody certainly under 40, lean, I don't even worry about it.
And then women, obviously, like the estradiol effects.
Amazing. And as far
libido, orgasm, all that stuff.
All of the above, again, mental, emotional. I mean, there's just so many things with cardiovascular and brain, Alzheimer's risk. There's just so many things. Bone is just huge. There's this great place. It's called OsteoStrong. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. We've been kind of working with them too. They do a REMS test, which is an ultrasound test for the bones. And what we're seeing is that women, even in their 30s, are having a setup towards osteoporosis. And
could like DEXA scan?
It's
similar.
It's a similar. It is DEXA in the sense that it's getting bone density. But it's using ultrasound in order to do it. And then it's also providing a qualitative number, which is called the fragility score that they have. So you can have a normal DEXA or like an abnormal DEXA density, but your fragility score is good. It's kind of the quality of the bone that's in there. But anyway.
I'll tell you if you could get like osteopenia or like the scales of it and shit like that.
Absolutely. And seeing really where it can happen, younger women. I was actually listening to, I wanted to say this to you anyway. I was listening to some woman on Dr. Peter Attia's. Peter is in some deep shit.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's going to do.
I don't see much. I'll ask you about it afterwards. But I was like, bro, it doesn't seem. I mean, it's not like a list I'd like to be part of.
No. And then what he was saying and all that. But anyway, you guys can all go look that up.
That's your doctor, bro.
Yeah.
I get it. Like you become friends, and it's that's fucking wild, dude.
Anyway, what this other doctor was saying, this Italian doctor, was talking about where actually the setup for osteoporosis for women is as children. It is what they did from an exercise standpoint from 0 to 18 and maybe 19.
Yeah.
And it's what they did in terms of impact and how they created their bone up to that point. Then that was what rides into older age. So one, just to a shout out to the importance of making sure kids are exercising. But women in their 30s start to have issues with osteopenia. And that is a hormonal issue as well. Again, back to this sort of setup, depending on where they were with their bone to begin with. But they need to be looking into it earlier and getting on hormone replacement therapy. We're back to that idea of testosterone. Testosterone's building bone. So when women are on testosterone in their 30s, before they actually get to full-blown menopause, they're helping their bone situation.
Well, and it's like when your stuff is optimal, it just makes everything better. Like your ability to build muscle, recover, sleep. There's so many. I've had so many. I mean, and females here too, and guys where it's just like they have all these. I guess we call them like side effects of having like less than optimal hormones or what I would consider low, and then that gets integrated in their life, and within a matter of sometimes 30 days, 60 days, it's like now the sleep is fine. Like my body composition is changing, which all the metabolic markers seem to be better for them, like overall. Like
Across
obviously, yeah, there's certain things like where it's like, yeah, maybe the dude's like, what is it, hemocretin or something, or like
hemoglobin,
certain things can move. I go, but it's rare. So like, I guess if I'm saying this the right way, I'm not telling anybody what to do. I don't really care what you choose to do. But when I look at the people I've seen anecdotally, obviously, that are here, that their stuff is low, it seems like they're having more physical issues and, if you want to say metabolic or blood marker issues, when their stuff is low versus when it's optimal. So the drawback, like, so okay, you're a female and you're on like some type of HRT. What's the other than you pay the money, which is not expensive? What's the downfall? What's the side effects?
Oh, okay. So
the most popular for women, dudes, whatever.
Yeah. Well, for women,
that's not like drug. Like obviously, you're blasting fucking 5 grams of test a week. Like something's going to go wrong. Obviously.
Sure. So even, let's say for women with testosterone, there can be some facial hair growth. There could be some acne. There could be some bloating that comes along with it.
Do you
water
see
retention.
like facial hair growth a lot? No.
It's funny you say see. I don't see anything because these women are taking care of it really, really well. Yeah. So I have to, ask and honor what it is that they're saying. It's like when they say hair loss. Hair loss is relative to that individual. So I've had women come in with to bring in a baggie of hair, and we sat there on the table and counted them out, and there was 100 hairs. You're allowed 50 to 100 in a day. But she was like, this is what I lost. And so for her, it was tough. So we sat there and honored that, and we talked it through.
And is that like, that probably was always happening?
Correct.
And then it's like, because, and here's my thing with the information is great, but there's so fucking much. And then if you're like a normal person and you're going to take a medication, like one time I took an Ambien. I didn't know it was going to take me on a mushroom trip, so I never would have fucking done it. The video from CVS didn't come till the next day, and they're like, hey, man, you could like drive your car, have sex with the person, like all the side effects. And I'm like, this is fucking worse than doing real drugs. I'm like, I'm never doing this again. I go, but if I would have read that before, I probably would have done it. But then it's like, you sometimes can convince yourself that you get the side effects. You're like, it gave me a headache. It gave me the sweats. I'm like, well, did it really give you a headache? Did you have one normally? I guess my point is, did you lose 50 hairs in a day anyways? Yeah.
And so to answer your question, how do I deal with that? That's, again, time, relationship, trust. Where AI is only going to take us so far. Yeah. You've got to have that human interaction and work through those kind of things through discussion. And and the answer is we can. We work through it, and I'm always very respectful. And I also say, I don't know, let's figure it out together. I don't know everything, and we work through it. But it can be confusing.
And then for dudes, sides?
Like you were saying before about the hemoglobin and hematocrit. So there can be, testosterone makes red blood cells get a little bit bigger. And that can be a very good thing because the guys come in slightly anemic, and then we give them testosterone and they're not anemic anymore. But it can get a little bit too big, and then that can cause a thickening of the blood that's measured through the hemoglobin and hematocrit on the blood test. And if it is thick, then theoretically this can increase the risk for stroke. So we're very keen to that. We're adjusting dose if we need to, or we tell them to go donate blood.
And that's probably the biggest one you see.
That's the number one thing for a guy that, interestingly, I don't see a lot of side effects with men. With women, they're having side effects, or they're having effects, or they're having other things, and they're far more articulate than men. So they're sort of telling me.
For sure.
But guys, just generally speak, I mean, even if the hair loss, I think the like major hair loss that guys get, that's when they're like doing cycles. So I don't see like.
And how much of that genetically is your dad and your grandpa and everything?
Correct. So there's always the genetic component. So most guys are just sort of dealing with it and accepting it, or they're trying to deal with it nonetheless. Maybe we've got treatments for that, using platelet-rich plasma, by the way, in the scalp.
Yeah.
Things like that. So they're not usually complaining about it. It's not like, oh, this is a major problem. Once I started the testosterone, they usually don't have things like that. They're mostly saying, hey man, make my libido better, and let's work on it that way.
And is there, obviously each patient is different, but is there like a general, like a most popular like female like dose they get that you give out? Like, hey, females get this protocol, or like dudes, like, right? So the average dude, like for here, let's say their stuff is jacked. Like most dudes are on some version of 100 to 150
Correct.
or whatever it is a week. But I've heard other, again, the internet will show you everything. I've heard wild shit of people being like doing what seems to me very high numbers of testosterone per week for like a normal dude who's not like standing next to Jay Cutler on stage.
100 to 150 milligrams per week for a guy is exactly where I'm at. It is the rarest guy that gets close to the full 200. And if they stay on that, I've seen it time and time again that they're going to have problems in the hemoglobin and hematocrit. They're going to get issues with insulin resistance, believe it or not. Their HDL, good cholesterol, starts to get driven down more so. Their libido starts to go down.
No shit.
Yeah, because they get testicular shutdown. There's always a little bit of testicular shutdown on testosterone. We give things to help with that, but part of it is to make sure you're not overdosing. So they get like a diminishing return. Then their libido goes low. So what do they want to do? They want to increase their testosterone dose, and then they increase it, and it makes it worse. So there's like a point of diminishing return with it. So we've got to find that sweet spot. But usually if it's over 150 milligrams, that's where they're starting to get into no man's land there. And
drug abuse.
Yeah, it's just what it is. 200 milligrams, 250 milligrams, it's a freaking cycle. I mean, it's just what happens. Because their levels are almost always invariably well above 1200. The lab will say greater than 1500. It's some number.
Oh, it doesn't even show up?
No, it's either 1501 or it's 15 million. I don't know what the number is.
It stops at 15.
It stops at 15. It's only sensitive to 1500.
Can you test for? Is there? I mean, I'm sure there's a way you can go test and see like how.
Oh, like above 1500? Yeah, there probably are certain tests that are geared towards
like
that.
Like if you were like you're a guy, you're going to be on the Olympia stage. I'm assuming they want to like measure like, hey, am I at 3,000? Am I at 4,000?
I wonder. I don't actually know the answer to that, but I've seen it above 1500 in other labs. But generally, it doesn't go above that.
I guess I could text a couple people and ask. Like,
yeah,
hey,
how do they deal with it?
Yeah, because I just feel like that would be so the guys don't die, in fucking 2 years. I mean, that's just because again, how many other things are going to go wrong when it's that? I mean, because you're talking like that's bonkers.
Yeah, no, it's crazy land. And well, here's my instinct on that is that they don't know the number. I mean, again, they don't run in levels of milligram. They run in levels of grams. How many grams am I running? So they're just.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
dude.
I think they're looking at maybe their complete blood count, the CBC, and those kind of things. They're definitely looking at the liver, and again, depending on what they're taking, they're beyond just regular testosterone. But yeah, I think it's that probably more so than they just know it's high.
So you get a dude, and if it's like, yeah, because I've never heard of 15. I've never seen anybody.
Yeah, it'll happen that way. And where I'll see it is that this even 200 million, the full 1 cc. I do go to my doctor. He gives me 1 cc per week, intramuscular injection into my ass once a week, 200 milligrams. At the peak, 1 to 2 days out from that injection, it's very common to see that peaking well over 1500.
And the trough is. Who knows?
Well, the trough, that's the thing. I mean, I want there to be a slight trough to warrant the next injection, but they don't even get into much of a trough. The trough could, over time, still be 800, 900, 1,000, and then they put more in them, so that level is going crazy high. It has to, because they're building on top of that. So
you're just running like way high.
All the time.
Yeah. And then when you're low, it's really not that low.
And again, it's not really that low, or again, they've got that testicular shutdown, and you need the testicles to still be functioning. It has to have that there in order to feel your best when you're on testosterone replacement. and they're shutting it all down.
Yeah.
So
just wild, man. This is crazy. I learn a lot. It's a lot of, yeah. But now people talk about it too, and I hear a lot of shit. And I'm like, that just seems like it's. And again, the beauty is like everybody has a voice on the internet, but the problem is everybody has a voice. And I'm like, this just seems. And again, like I always go back to because I grew up in this space. Obviously, like I love it, but I'm like, I only had like the magazines. Like we would just like read a
Muscle
magazine.
Fitness.
Yeah, and I'm like, those guys are not. They're all full of shit. Everyone's fucking lying. Like, here's my program, which is it's garbage. And here's how much I'm eating. I'm like, well, if I just eat this, I'll look just like Arnold. I'm like, we're the same height. I'm like, this fucking dude's 240, bro. You're never seeing 240. Yeah. Like, that's just like, but you didn't know. And now it's like these kids will see this and they'll know. And I'm like, I just feel like it's really bad advice that's out there.
It is. And, back to the peptide thing with the influencers and all that.
First of all, how do they do that? Like, I have not looked into it at all. I assume it's like they have some type of affiliate with some type of, it can't be a compound pharmacy. It has to be just like a...
Oh, it's one of these research only. Most of these are going to be research only.
And so then it just so they can sell it however, they can ship it to the person. Yeah. But my understanding is the research ones can't give dosing instructions, and there's no way they can
No, they're not giving dosing instructions, but on their website they'll put it, in terms of a First Amendment kind of, hey, I'm just putting some information here on the website.
So you could find
it's on their actual website. All the dosing protocol. Here's what, and they say this is what researchers do. So researchers they're talking about an individual, not an actual, guy in a white coat doing research. They're talking about researcher, meaning the person who's buying. They're calling them researchers, not patients.
So these guys are just like an affiliate of this research only website. Yeah. They get a kickback of insert percentage, and we
get free peptides, whatever they're getting.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not. I mean, I see it's so much. Again, I'm not make your money, guys. I'm not talking shit about you. Do whatever, but that just seems
from a medical standpoint
problematic.
It's rough.
Real problematic, dude. Well, because you don't know what you're doing. Like these are not like, again, I know they're not as harsh as like you're doing.
That's what I was going to say. That's probably part of the reason why it's been able to go on as long as it has, because generally speaking, these are very clinically forgiving. Yeah. The side effect profile is super generally low.
But you can, if you don't know how to reconstitute, or you you take too much of these things, like it's not catastrophic, but you probably know. It's like I'm sure there's a peptides you've used before. And I'm like, I've used some of them different ones for sleep. Yep. You can get like a histamine reaction.
Yes, that's the biggest,
which will light you up. It's real. And it's like
and I've had that happen to patients. It's very rare, but I've had patients where to the point of where Benadryl wasn't quite doing it.
Yeah, where it's like either you have a well, and again, it'll happen, obviously. So it's like your skin changes. You have
it's usually like a localized
allergic reaction, and or you get your face will flush like you've snorted a pound of cocaine, right? Like that'll happen. There's certain things that do go on. I'm like, but for the most part, they're not catastrophic. Yeah. But that is a thing. And again, there's downside effects of everything. So it's like you're doing these growth hormone type, especially some of the stronger ones. You guys don't know what the fuck is growing in your body. You have no idea what's going on. Like, I think like getting your blood work done, having scans and stuff before you do some of these things, like on your own, is probably like wise, and not just take advice from Joe Fitness guy on the internet who doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Agreed.
And you said it made me think of cancer. We're doing this test now. It's called the Gallery test. This is a blood test that can screen out, I think it's 40 different cancers in a blood test. It's not definitive, but you should check out the research. It's really, really strong. So we offer that to patients as well to just say, hey, a peace of mind kind of thing. So I mean, things like that. But I mean, the basic stuff on blood work is going to help you say, are you in the midst of maybe having cancer? So at the barest minimum, having basic labs done before they do things like this. You're exactly right about that growth hormone stimulation, like tesamorelin, which is FDA approved as Egrifta. But tesamorelin is super potent. That will really, really get IGF-1 levels up. That is an extension of human growth hormone.
And you can't, really that's like in those visceral fat.
It chews up visceral fat like crazy.
Is it also midsection fat too? No.
Yeah, midsection. I mean, the whole thing. Anything that's sort of related.
External too.
External too,
Really?
but it's mostly visceral. I mean, that's what it's sort of largely indicated for.
Because what was it created for? Like cancer patients or something?
It was Agrifta was created for HIV patients with lipodystrophy,
Cancer.
and lipodystrophy is just either through the sort of mechanism of the HIV disease or the medications that they have to take. They get all this fat right around their organs, so Agrifta goes in and chews it up like Pac-Man.
But like for most people, like you're lean, like fuck, dude, my visceral fat is like almost nothing. I had a lady here on Dex, I think she was like 0 or like as close to 0. She's in her 60s, she's fucking shredded.
Really?
Yeah, it's like almost nothing.
Yeah,
like
that's maybe now a little bit low.
Oh no, it's the most. I don't want to say her name on here. She'll probably listen to it anyway. She's definitely the most shredded older lady I have here. Like body fat, like one of the lowest I've ever seen on a female. But that's her thing. She's just like genetically and like eats the same way. Like is really.
Well, I'm sure she's extremely disappointed.
All the shit, but it was like lower than mine. I'm like, that's fucking wild, dude. But I guess and I understand the application if it's a thing. I go, but to your point, they are powerful things. It's not like you can just blast testosterone like for a year straight, every day, all day. And I don't know if those protocols are being shared online or not. Like, who knows? Having a doctor, if nothing else, if you're going to do that shit, go to someone like you and like at least have that conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like that's more helpful than just going. I just don't think going it on your own. It's like it'd be like if you didn't have any financial advisor at all or no advice. You just whatever you know about money, that's it, and you just. You're probably better off, dude, at least seeking counsel from someone who does it all day. Even if you don't take the advice, they can like look over your shit, especially this because it is your health. Yeah,
and the internet gives us such a false sense of that we're, or you listen to an influencer and you feel like, well, I know this person now because I've listened to his videos so many times, and it's just not the same thing.
No, not at all. Let me see. I'm going to ask you like a couple of these quick ones too, and I'll get you out of here. So,
did we talk about all the things about sex? I think
it's a lot. Obviously, like I guess the biggest takeaway is like your sexual health. It really is kind of like, if you want to call it like the weather vane, or it's like a marker of like whether it's like biological age or like cardiovascular health, inflammation, your nervous system. A lot of it is all connected. And so if you're having issues there's probably something else down chain that's going on, and it's probably not just psychological, or it's like, hey, I'm just older and this is how it is. Like I'm not saying you have to be like you're 16 and get a boner every 15 fucking minutes. I go, but to never have one and never want to have sex doesn't seem like you're 40, dude. You're 50. You're 60. You're not dead.
If you're not having sex at least once a week, that's a problem. And I say that too from a relationship standpoint. And it doesn't once a week. That's it. It's not even that much. But for a lot of people, they're not even doing that. And because of these physical reasons or whatever.
How much do you think we didn't talk. I mean, I don't want to take up all your time. Like all the porn shit. Plays into it because now you're creating like this dopamine loop essentially with yourself.
Yeah,
like you're in a relationship in your brain with nobody.
Yep.
And so you're getting all the things, but there is no interaction with someone else.
Yeah. And then when you do get an interaction, what's happening? Guys are getting premature ejaculation. So they're just it's either that or interestingly they just an orgasm. They can't orgasm.
Because the reality can't
compete with that level of stimulation.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I think they've seen that more, the can't orgasm in the younger guys. In the sort of millennial to Gen X and older, for them, it's the other way around. It's like porn just like ramps them up. Like, oh my God. And
because at least I guess they grew up with
Playboy,
or like
Playboy under your mattress.
What was it like? You would have in the middle. There was these little boxes like a descrambler, and they like Spice was a channel.
Oh,
you remember that? But Spice is like shitty porn. It was not like real.
They're soft porn.
But it was like we didn't ever had it. It was just like the squiggly lines, and you could kind of hear it and see it.
Yeah.
And if a buddy we didn't even have the internet, dude. I didn't have a computer at my house till I was like fucking 17. And even then it was like shitty dial up. So if you had like not to get gross, everybody, like a picture of like Pamela Anderson, you're going to print out or something. Like my buddies would like make their own Playboys. They like try to print out like the hottest chicks who were like naked from Playboy and then like tape them in a fucking binder. We're savages, dude. I go, but you couldn't because like someone would call your house, it would fuck it up. Or your mom comes home and you got to turn it off.
Yeah.
But like, and that's what we grew up with. There was no like, now these fucking kids can click.
They got access to
shit that I don't even knew existed. I'm like, this is wild, man.
Yeah.
That has to like really, I would imagine, damage their, not just the way they look at women and relationships, but it's crazy.
Yeah, and I think it's a big part of why we're seeing a lot of sexual dysfunction, and that is actually a question that we'll ask guys particularly about if they've
Oh, you
got,
asked them, like, how much do you watch, or do you?
Yeah, and it's kind of like
And like, then my next question is like, how many dudes are like transparent?
it's just like alcohol. Like in medical school,
You just like double the amount
yeah,
or something.
if they say if it's 3 beers, you just double it to 6. And that's okay. And sometimes I don't even think they're deliberately trying to lie. They just underestimate for themselves what the reality is. And if you sit there and dig in a little bit, you go, well, it's a little bit more than that. So yeah, I think it's a big problem. I think I think sex, we should be focusing more on high quality sex that is in a relationship. And that's what we're sort of missing. We think sex is just simply this thing that's happening between our legs only, and that's where we're missing out. And that's what's creating some of the literal physical things that we're seeing. So
I just say this, was it yesterday? We were having this talk because we were going through like all the stats of like alcohol consumption is down, overall. Which I think in terms of like,
this is the first generation. I think the Gen Z is one of the first generation to be this much lower than.
which, for like metabolic health, I think is a great thing. I don't think there's not a physical, in terms of like tracking those markers, health benefit.
Yeah,
now
it just isn't. Yeah.
they say that, although I was at the Global Ambassador last night for my buddy's 40th birthday, and it's like the amount of fucking kids there, dude. Like, they look half my age. First of all, when I was 22 years old, dude, I'm at Dos Gringos, struggling to buy a $5 beer. These kids are buying $30 fucking drinks. Like, what kind of planet do I live in?
Yeah.
Anyways, but overall, it is down. I don't think and I think there is yes, this is good. However, and I'm not an advocate for drinking and telling people to go drink, I do think there is a social lubricant benefit to that, meeting people. I met my wife at a bar. If I wasn't there, I never would have met her. I don't know if kids are now, or younger people are swapping that habit for something better. I don't see a bunch of savages running around out here, dude. I see people like, and I'm not talking shit about the younger generation. There's many great people, but a lot of it's like, I'm just going to sit and watch porn, play video games, live on TikTok, vape, do this bullshit. Is that better than going and having a couple beers at a bar? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where it's like, we kind of like, we made the world better, but we kind of like made it too soft and we fucked it in a way, which is wild.
Alcohol increases testosterone. We've talked about, this growing up, liquid courage and all of that. There is actually a temporary sort of surge.
Yeah.
You also, testosterone's higher with nicotine and cigarettes. So so you think there's some of these things that, just the good old fashioned have a drink, have a smoke.
Are you like
I'm not advocating that.
No. Are you like a Zen guy or one of those dudes?
I'm a patch guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do a 3.5 milligram patch of nicotine every day.
What is it? Just like the reverse of like Nicorette?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'm doing a different brand now. I can't even think what it is.
But what does it do? You just get you like more energy or something?
I don't even know if it's doing that. It's such a small amount, and I've never played with anything more than that. But what that amount is doing, it's really good for your brain. All kinds of research with Parkinson's, what they've used on this. And then also other things like just as simple as COVID, other viruses and things like that. Like that's what they figured out early on with COVID, that the smokers were they were getting through the hospital better than non-smokers. They noticed that right away. So then there were certain doctors that were giving patients patches. And the moment they saw them doing that, they shut them down, and because there was protocols that had to be the way they said the protocols were, essentially the death protocols. So there was nicotine alone was a block for COVID. It was blocking it.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I chewed for a long time. It's a terrible habit. It took me forever to quit.
How many milligrams do you think you were getting a day?
Oh, dude, I was fucking like in my prime. Dude, I was like, and this is like, dude, I probably stopped when I was 20. I just maybe moved here, so I was 24. Mm-hmm. But from like 15 to 24. I mean, and like, dude, you're talking like, because in college when you'd study, like you'll chew, but then it's like, but when you're drinking, you'll chew. Really. After practice, you'll chew. So it became like this whole where this is addiction, right? Like I'm managing my life around it almost. Mm-hmm. Where it's like I wake up, my lower jaw is so fucked, I'm putting an upper in the shower in the morning before I go to class. Yeah, probably at least a 10 and a half a day.
A 10 and a half, yeah.
Or maybe 2 sometimes. Like if you're going hard.
I had a patient come in the other day. This guy, he's in his 40s. It was something like that. Oh no, maybe it was. No, it was. It was definitely dip and he was swallowing it.
Yeah, because that's where it ends. That's where you end.
Right.
Yeah.
So he winds up getting.
Fuck, that's so bad for your gut, too, dude. So bad.
Speaking of which, he gets ulcerative colitis now. So he's got UC.
Oh, jeez.
And what's interesting, what happened? He had been doing this for years. As soon as he stopped, that's when the ulcerative colitis came.
Really?
Because, and I'm sitting right there in front of him. I didn't know. Is it a Google on my computer sitting in front of him? And sure enough, nicotine, not the tobacco, nicotine decreases the risk for ulcerative colitis. So what we were surmising right there,
it was like his medicine, even though
correct. It was right. One was hurting, but the thing that was probably staving off the full development was the fact that he had the nicotine into such a high dose. But the moment he stopped it all, now he's no more nicotine, and whoosh, then it started. And I said, yeah, I think you should get on a patch.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be able to sort of offset that, and that was something that he was, I think, already considering.
Because is that like, I haven't done any of the research on like, I'm like, I have enough fucking addictions. I don't need any more. But like the Zins and stuff, like that's essentially, it's just nicotine?
It's just nicotine, right. But they, again, for me personally, I'm using it, whatever. I take all kinds of supplements and things. I'm saying, here's my baseline that I think it's helping me from a longevity standpoint versus like, well, I get stimulated because I take it. So I think what happens with the Zins, they tend to they dose it up to get the stimulation.
Yeah, because I'm sure they have like multiple milligrams.
Sure.
And then you'd find yourself, well, that's how you start.
Take an extra one.
Yeah, because like when you start chewing, I mean, I would start with the real shit. And then you're like, this is too. Obviously, the first time you ever have a dip, like you're fucked up. Like it's like being shit-faced, hammered drunk. So I had like teammates in college, right, who've never chewed before. Mm-hmm. They're like, "Oh, I'm gonna try one." I'm like, "I don't really think this is for you." And they try one and they're puking at a party. And they're like, "You do this all day?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't feel like that anymore." But I feel like the Zins is like I just start adding more and more and more.
Yeah, it's so much easier.
Yeah,
that's what I want. These kids are smoking less, but are they vaping more? And I didn't really check into that. I don't know if they're vaping less even though, but I don't know if they switched. Like you were saying, are they not drinking, but they're doing something else? Are they medicating themselves in some other way? I'm not sure, but I think you're probably right that they're just not doing anything. There's no social lubricant. They're not involved in regular human interaction.
No, I don't think well, again, and I think there's something, and I don't think you have to drink to do that. I did typically because I mean, like you're an athlete, you don't really talk to chicks, you just like hook up with them. That's what we would do. Right. And then you get out in the real world, you're like, oh fuck, I'm not that anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm a normal guy. I got to like have some fucking social skills. And I was, just enough of not a mutant to be able to talk to my wife at a bar. And like, here we are, I go, but without that, I'm like,
it might not have ever worked. Huh?
Yeah, dude, it'd be, if I was just on a computer all day, yeah, it'd be tough, dude, for sure. I'll do these rapid fire. I'll get you out of here. Yeah. Like if there was like a sexual health myth, you wish would like disappear. If there's one that's like, this is one that's like, it's bullshit and that this could go away.
Well, we already touched on it. This idea that you have to live with it. That is the biggest myth, crock of shit out there, that there isn't answers and then you just should just go ahead. You just live with it. It's okay. Where even the doctor will say, well, I live with it, so you can too. And
do you think that's part of it too, though? Like as like
yeah, it's their worldview.
On the physician world, yeah. Like there's like you go to again because I've probably said this on here 100 times. I don't want to kill these fucking guys, but I went to a doctor, and he literally said and my wife was in there, which never happens, because we live solo adult lives like most things, but she's there, and it's like because on the IVF stuff you'll do together. We went to a couple of different places, and he's like, well, you're 40 now, you don't need like. This is just kind of how it is to me. And I'm like, it reminded me like the quote from like No Country for Old Men when they're doing the coin flip. And he's just like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like I wanted to say that to his face. I go, dude, if I can't be this version of me, I don't even want to fucking, this is it.
Yeah.
Like I need to be this.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be a bag of shit. I'm not, if I was 97, sure, dude, I get it. But at 40, I'm like, I'm not dead, dude.
No. I think conventional medicine has a defeatist type of approach to viewing the body and health. it's a decline concept that is inevitable versus an optimization thing of saying, no, we can, have a optimized lifespan and longevity, and there's always hope. They take away the hope. I always give hope to the patient. I don't know. We're going to figure it out. There's hope. There's always an answer. If you just, and then maybe you won't figure out the answer, but at least go from the premise that you can. And that's certainly true when it comes to your sexuality. Trust me, man. I had patients in their teens, and I got patients in their 90s, and I got couples in their 70s, 80s. They're having sex all the time. Kid in a candy store. Once they get these hormones, and it's important for them. Like they already come in with like a halfway decent kind of libido.
For sure.
And then they're, and they care about it. So they want to like super ramp that up. And it's just what they prioritize. So it absolutely can be. And we have answers. And we didn't talk about one particular medication. If guys have major ED, like severe ED, like it doesn't happen. It doesn't work. There is a medication called Trimix, which is 3 different vasodilating medications that can be with a very, very small needle with a little bit of lidocaine in it, injected into the penis to give a 98% guaranteed erection. It is date night. And we've had guys like because we'll do a test.
Like you just do it once?
Yeah, once. It's like instead of just taking Viagra as a pill, you're just taking the little injection, put it in the penis, inject it in. It's a very small amount. Boom. Erection.
Like on demand? No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, meaning it's happening. He injects it. He's going to get the erection.
Oh, like right there.
Right then and there.
No shit.
Yeah. So, and that is a life-altering medication. When guys are like, they've literally given up. They can't, and are trying to have an erection. They can't. They've given up on sex in general or with their wives. And we give them this medication, and just, guys in the office, like in tears, having an erection for the first time in 20, 30 years. It's amazing. So there's answers even to that extreme. Now, sometimes even that medication it's not 100% effective, but 98 is pretty high.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's the ace up my sleeve that we can, pull out as well.
I was going to ask this too, just off the top of my head, because I was curious. Like when people like have poor sleep, like there's all these, different, excuse me, like all the shit drugs, in my opinion, that are not, when you look at the data on like Ambien and Lunesta, whatever, it's never really great deep quality sleep. Right. I go, they're supposed to be done in short doses. A lot of times people take these in perpetuity. Other things, trazodone, there's a lot of different things out there. Is there, for a lot of people I've seen, like when the hormones become regulated, the sleep just improves and there's not a need for the drugs. Also, what I found personally too, because like I had a bad where like I wasn't sleeping great years ago, like the peptides, certain ones would help me sleep like a fucking brick, dude. I'm talking like I got a baby in my house. I'm done. I'm like,
which ones have been helpful for you for that?
The sermorelin for sure seems to be the best. I've tried the CJC, one similar. Both.
Yeah, that's that growth hormone effect. It really helps with achieving REM, staying into REM.
Yeah, and I felt like that's better than any drug I've ever taken. Yeah. And that not just like the pharmaceuticals, but like, hey man, try like, whether it be like the old school, like, I know, I still will do like a glycine powder. I do feel like that is helpful. But like, it's the normal, like, what is that?
Like a melatonin or something.
Oh yeah. Or like, it would be like, what is it? Inositol.
Inositol.
Yeah. That'll be there. Like the magnesium as well. But I feel like the peptides were even better than like back in the day, like whether it be edibles or whatever. And I never felt like I had great sleep on those. Also, the hangover effect was also traumatic. This is like you sleep like a rock. Yeah. I would say, I'm not a doctor. I'm like, that seems like a better, safer route than taking fucking Ambien for 20 years.
Ambien is, it's one of the most addictive medications out there. I mean, I wouldn't give that to anybody.
And it's like, to me, it was like doing mushrooms.
Yeah.
It was like, I was like,
that's really common.
It was not good. Yeah. And there's no sleep going on.
Right.
These, it's like, it feels natural.
Because it's the growth hormone is helping. The testosterone will do that. Estrogen for women. If a woman is in menopause and she's having hot flashes and night sweats and sleeping difficulties, estrogen just within 24 to 72 hours they will be sleeping better in most cases.
No shit.
Yeah, it's really amazing. When they're full-blown menopause, you give them that estrogen, and sleep is one of the key things that will get better quickly. So, yeah, but with the sermorelin, this is really increasing growth hormone in a great way, and then you get that
'Cause it pulses,
you get pulsatile. You get multiple pulses of growth hormone throughout the day, but it's nice to get one, a good strong one, right before bed, because then you'll get into REM and stay in REM.
Is that like the best sleep one, you think? I mean, give or take. Or is there a couple?
Well, back to what we were saying about tesamorelin. If we're talking about it, kind of goes this way for the growth hormone peptides. Sermorelin, that's from the 90s.
The weakest, I guess.
The weakest. Hexarelin, a little bit stronger, also was developed right around that same time. CJC with ipamorelin, that combination of those two, and then tesamorelin. It kind of ramps up, generally speaking, in that way. But like anything else, like you might say, well, actually, I felt better on sermorelin than I did on CJC. That might be the case.
If your goal was sleep versus...
Or almost anything. These things always affect people slightly differently, and that's why there's got to be a level of, experimentation with it. And using it.
But all those are sleep.
Because growth hormone is so powerful for sleep, but you're going to get the weight loss and the muscle growth and the skin benefits and all that you get out of growth hormone, but you get the sleep too.
And this is just my own curious, like for the CJC, sometimes they'll have like the DAC version. Yeah. And they'll have like just you're a DAC guy or not. It's better off if you're just doing it every day.
I'm more of a without drug affinity complex DAC. Yep. I think it's a little bit easier that way.
It just makes more sense. Like naturally, your body.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Sorry, people. Sometimes I ask my personal geek questions.
These great peptides. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just like I like to look at everything that goes on and see like what's because again, there's so much. Again, there's a lot of great people, but there is just it's too much information even for me. Like I'm in the space. I have a lot of doctors here, a lot of people here. Some people it's more like longevity based, some more people it's more like performance based or aesthetic based. It's just everybody has a different goal, and so I like to like look at it all. But it's like there's no way I can wrap my head around like all this shit. 'Cause I'm like, dude, I've never. Have you heard of Maximorlin? Or I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that is. I'm like, no, dude. I'm like, no. Yeah. Like how can I possibly?
There's so many peptides now, and what's interesting. I've been prescribing it for about 10 years. And that's when nobody really knew anything. We were just starting, and I was working with Dr. William Seeds, who's kind of probably one of the best gurus out there on peptides. I kind of got a lot of information from him. When we just started using them, certain peptides just percolated to the top. BPC, the CJC157, CJC and ipamorelin, the sermorelin, those were the ones that kind of, and the PT141 that we talked about earlier, that definitely, like early on, we saw the great benefits of that from a libido standpoint. So those are the ones that everybody's talking about now anyway. Oh, the GHK copper, that particular copper containing, the one that's really good for skin. That's kind of like the key 4 or 5 that we knew right away was working, and that now everybody's still talking about because they're still tried, true, and tested.
And like, what about all this? This is the last question. I'll go. These people who advise like stacking all this shit.
Yeah.
Is that like someone will be like, oh, my protocol is this? I go, dude, you sound like you're blasting gear from the 90s. You're because they're listing off like, I take this peptide. I go, and some of these seem like it's dramatic overlap. Mm. And I'm like, is that a thing? I'm like, it seems like do you need to be taking all these things? It just seems like a lot.
I think what happens is I'll say this to patients, and patients often instinctually say that to me. I always say, let's start slow. Let's start with 1 or 2 things so we can kind of see what's working. If I'm just kind of throwing the kitchen sink at you, which I guess I could, but
how do you know?
How do I know what was working or not? Or if you have a negative, how do I know what was the culprit for the negative? So yeah, it's you got to ease your way into all of these things, and again, look at it comprehensively. I think the stacking, what also is happening out there, that's wrong. They're stacking it into the same formula. And these things have different pHs where they're stable.
Oh, they're mixing all this shit together.
They're mixing it. So, I mean, certainly if they say, people are drawing up in the same syringe, don't do that. And then, I got it from the research place and they just threw 2 or 3 or 4 different things in the same vial. This is wrong. In many cases, I'd have to kind of see that.
Like what's the milligrams like of the vial? What's the milligrams of the?
It's that, but it's also the way it should be competent pharmacist makes it. There's certain pHs, and then those pHs it would screw up one or the other if you mix them together into the same vial or into the same syringe. So the barest minimum, get them singular, and CJC ipamorelin, that is a classic combo. There's no issues from a pH there, but don't mix syringes. Never do that because you just never know what you're doing. You might just be negating it.
It's just a wild time, man. What's one thing you would say to somebody who's afraid to like ask for help? I guess in the sexual stuff, because I wanted to do that. Like, hey, they're just like, hey, I'm thinking about like, what's the easiest? They just reach out, like on the site and just say, hey, because I know that's a tough. I guess if you were a dude, that's a tough one. Like I would be like, if I couldn't get an erection, that seems like my life would suck. I would do it because I'm like, this is not a. If I can't have sex, dude, what's this really about?
Yeah, I think. Let's say if it's a guy that's concerned. Well, first of all, if you call up, you're going to speak to the new patient coordinator that is just amazing and knows exactly how to move through these types of things in a way that's she's going to speak confidently that's going to make him feel comfortable. But the other thing is he doesn't have to say that. He might be thinking in his mind a lot of this is sex, but he doesn't want to have to say that there. He just wants to come in and see Dr. Robinson. Yeah, and from there, through paperwork and things like that, he can fill things out, or if he doesn't want to put there, he can just simply say it to me when we're in the room together. So, we can work on it that way. But I think the big thing is the takeaway is that we are used to this. You're not alone. You are not alone. 30 million men in the United States are dealing with some form of erectile dysfunction. And at 40 years old, it's 40%, 50, 60%, 70%. Yeah. So it's super common. So they're not alone. We'll work on it. There's always hope. There's always an answer. Healing's always an option. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I figure that's easier than like when you call like your proctologist or something, and you're like, and the nurse is like, "What's the problem?" And you gotta like say it on the phone. Like, fuck, dude, because it's like you can't. Yeah, you can't really well, I'm not calling you because my ear hurts. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's like that shit.
It's kind of obvious. Yeah.
But you guys do have. I don't want to forget this. You have like a longevity, like a protocol or a plan, or like what's the?
Yeah, we can kind of end on this. We've been doing this for a long time, and we have kind of percolated into. Something called the longevity protocol. It's the name of our podcast that we've been doing now for just about a year. And we have now created a sort of elite concierge approach to longevity that I'd say some of the differences behind what we usually do is the testing is even more advanced. We're offering even more in-depth genetic testing and some other things that people might want if they're looking to really take their health to the next level.
Yeah.
And then we're devising a full 1-year program. This is including stem cell therapy and other things that we're doing there. Of course, all the hormones, peptides, everything guided in our advanced way, but in a real sort of elite, personalized approach, even more so than what we already do at the Hormone Zone. So we're really excited about that. And we're just kind of putting the final touches on launching that officially here in this month.
Yeah, it's like it's not the same, but like there's like the crazy physical that they'll always do, like the CEO version ones where it's like
an executive kind of physical.
Yeah, where it's like everything except it's like for not just a test. You're doing all that, but then it's like a year of basically let's get you to be, even if you're great, let's make you fucking like greater. Superhuman.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you have some shit that's maybe you don't even know what's wrong.
Yep.
Like you can stay ahead of it, get ahead of it. Like I don't want to say like prehab, but essentially that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're getting ahead of things that if you have a genetic predisposition to XYZ, whether it's like, hey, I'll use ApoB because we pulled it the other day. So it's like if you have a genetic predisposition to have something be off here, your particles are big or small, whatever it may be, you can see that, and then we can tailor a plan to
get the right around that. Yeah, we're great genetic testing that we can do that shows so many things. I mean, these are just really advanced kind of things, and then looking at and measuring biological age. And you can use you can measure biological age even with some basic labs. There's certain calculators out there that we use that just taking things off like a CBC, something like white blood cell count, CRP, a few other glucose, and you can get an estimation of biological age. And then from there, you can get a little bit more, advanced with some of these tests. So we want to measure biological age and then show that improvement after 1 year on the program.
And then just like easy, like I'm assuming it's like easy takeaways for these guys. They can just take it, implement it, and
right away, like, learn about it and implement it right then and there.
because when I think of that, I always think of that fucking crazy dude who's trying to live.
Yeah, I forget his name.
Brian. Something.
Yes. And I always think that guy is pasty looking, man.
But it's like he's like, what did he has like $1 trillion. Like he's super rich.
Yeah, he's a billionaire, and I think he said multi-millions that he has spent. I forget however many millions he spent on these things to reverse his biological age. So look,
But there's like a meme. It's like him, and then they split it with like an Italian guy, like smoking cigarettes, drinking wine.
Right, yeah.
And they're like, this fucking dude will live to 130, and it's like, you might be right.
Yeah,
like again, like
that's what I'm saying.
I do like
gotta live a little bit.
Yeah, no, I liked. Well, again, it's like the Arnold quote. Like with all this discipline, you have to have like some dysfunction.
Yeah,
and I think that's like. But even had the stats too, like on smoking cigars and like drinking coffee. Like a lot of these things are like they're positives.
Yeah.
Which used to be like, oh, it's negative. I'm like, we had a cardiologist, fucking dude. Like, yeah, I drink 4 cups of coffee every day before noon. And it's like lower risk of heart attack. Like all these different things. I'm like,
the more coffee you drink, because the magnesium levels and the different things that come along with coffee. Yeah,
it's wild, dude.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I guess like I like the longevity piece of like, hey, let's get ahead of this other stuff, but also like, yeah, you can have like some dysfunction in your life. You don't have to live in a vacuum.
Well, that's what most patients are going to do anyway.
For
so,
sure.
I mean, they're coming to me that way. So it's not like, well, it's got to be this way or nothing. I'm meeting them where they're at to be able to optimize to what they want to optimize to. And that there's always some next step that they could take, no matter what, even if they're still doing certain, like, the alcohol thing. You just say, they come in and say, look, I'll do anything you say, but I'm not stopping alcohol. They won't. And so we got to work with that. Yeah. And we can still improve things.
And I think for some people, like, you might have it might be better for you in your life if you do.
Correct.
Like I do believe that. Yeah. So this program's like out yet, or it's coming out? Are you doing
it's coming out. We're putting the final touches on this whole thing. It should be this month that we will officially launch the longevity protocol.
Nice. Yeah, you have to shoot me like all the content stuff for it.
Yep.
Definitely pump it out here.
Yep.
This is good, dude. This is all legit stuff.
It's great talking with you. It's such a great back and forth always.
Yeah, I try not to sound like an idiot. So I try to, and some of this stuff I do know, the dick shots and stuff, not so much. It's not.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
That like this other guy?
If something goes wrong, I'll definitely I'm not. Against,
you know where to go.
Yeah, I'm not against it. Where do these guys? Just your Instagram, podcast, social shit again.
Yeah, and follow Sex Docs. My Instagram is Dr. Robinson NMD. The name of our private practice right here in Scottsdale is the Hormone Zone. We've got a location in Prescott, Arizona as well. And the podcast is the Longevity Protocol.
Nice, dude. I'll throw in the show notes here. You guys can get it. Follow with that.
Pleasure, as always.
I appreciate it, brother. Yeah. You guys, don't be a lazy ass. Spotify, 5-star, leave a comment on the episode. We appreciate it. Same thing, Apple Podcasts. You guys, the comments and the reviews have been hilarious on the podcast lately. So I appreciate you guys on Apple. It's great. And then, if you guys want free samples of AG1, AGZ, anything else, the app stuff, it's all in the show notes. Hit it up. Otherwise, until next time, guys, eat well, train hard, be nice to people, and please keep doing shit you love with people you enjoy because your life is too short not to. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.